What's up, guys? Mr. Mo100 here with my top 5 favorite video games. As you know, I'm a big fan of video games, and of course, I have the 5 that I like the most, and I'm just going to share them with you. Number 5. Number 5 is going back a bit. Pokemon Stadium has been one of my favorite games since I was I was a young kid. The N64 has always been one of my favorite consoles. You see me do a couple recordings for Pokemon Stadium, and I will continue to do them simply because I love the game. 3D Pokemon fighting was a novelty back when that game first came out, and it was easily the best Pokemon console game ever, in my eyes. I mean, XD, if that's what it was even fucking called, I don't even remember the name of those things anymore. You know, the GameCube ones, they weren't even that good. I didn't like them. Stadium was the only one that actually got it right to me, and it will always remain one of my favorite games because of that. I'm a big Pokemon fan, I'm a big video game fan, and anytime they can bring Pokemon to the consoles correctly, I'm all for it. So, number 5, Pokemon Stadium. Number 4. Number 4 goes back just as much as the last one did. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater for the PlayStation 1. I differentiate between the N64 and the PlayStation 1 version because I personally like the PlayStation 1 version better. I like the controller for the PlayStation a little bit more than the N64 controller when it came to that game in particular. I actually like the N64 controller a little bit more overall, but that's beside the point. The PlayStation 1 version was, it was a port because the N64 version came out first, but it improved on a lot of the gameplay issues and glitches that the first one had, and just made it a better overall game. And I had already liked the game to begin with, but what really propelled it into this list was the improvements they made from the N64 version to the PlayStation 1 version. So I specify the PlayStation 1 version of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater as number 4. Number 3. Number 3 is another older game, not quite as old as the last two, but old nonetheless. Super Mario Advanced for the Game Boy Advanced was the first video game I actually ever played. Unfortunately, I don't still have the old Game Boy Advance that I own because I kind of broke it into a million pieces. It was tragic, and I'm still sad over it, as you can clearly see. But, it was, nonetheless, the first game I ever played. I still have the cartridge, because that didn't break. And, I still play it regularly. I mean, I think I brought you, one video of Super Mario Advanced. And, just the first game you ever played will always just stay in your heart as a special game forever. And it makes it to number 3 on this list, so clearly it stuck with me. So, number 3, Super Mario Advanced. Number 2. Number 2 and number 1 are kind of interchangeable and kind of not. Number 1 definitely has the edge by just a little bit, but it was very close. Number 2 is Final Fantasy XII. I've always been a huge fan of the Final Fantasy series, and I kind of gave you a recording for Final Fantasy XII, not really, because it didn't really go that well. I've had a lot of trouble recording without lag, but I will continue to try to bring you Final Fantasy XII videos. Unfortunately, that one didn't go that well. But going back to the point, what makes Final Fantasy XII such a one of my favorite games is that it wasn't the first Final Fantasy game I've ever played, but it was the first good one, because the first one I played was Final Fantasy X-2, and that one just it wasn't that good, not in my eyes. But Final Fantasy XII was what really got me hooked on the series, and it was a great game. I loved it, and I keep going back to it. Sometimes a game is just so good and so fun to play that it just becomes one of your favorites, and that's the case with Final Fantasy XII. I love the story, I love the characters, and I continue to replay it to this day. Although the ending still doesn't make any sense to me. So you're going to have to play through the game to find out what the ending is. Number 1. And finally, as I just enthusiastically informed you, it's number 1. And number 1 is Halo 2. You all at this point should know that I'm a huge, huge Halo fan. And this is kind of a celebration of the fact that we're doing the, I guess you could call it a machinima, even though it actually isn't, related to the website Machinima. But we're doing that, episodic series for Halo 4 right now. And I really wouldn't be doing anything with Halo at all if it wasn't for the fact that the series is just one of my favorite series of all time, and Halo 2 was my favorite game in the series. The campaign was amazing, and they didn't even finish it. It was one of the longest in the series. It was just an amazing story overall. I loved how we got to look at the inner workings of the Covenant. And I could go on about this forever. I loved everything about Halo 2, from the story and the characters to the multiplayer and the gameplay. Everything about it was fantastic to me, and that's why it takes the number 1 spot in my countdown.
Pile out! Go, go, go!